everybody during the music community. This is Michael Soldier 777 coming at you here. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm here to show you a video as a West Spinning episode regarding a request or a response to another video from Tim Bristow of Tim Talks Christian Rock, and where he did a rundown and thoughts of the Jerusalem album Dancing Heavy Serpent, which was released in 1988. It was a hard rock album with leanings towards heavy metal, and we were discussing the differences between the European mix and the North American mix. And as you may know too, some albums in music history, sometimes would have two different mixes. Either they would add things to recording, or they'll mix it for different markets. I know, like for example, White Snake Slide In. There's two different versions, a European mix and a North American mix. And this is an example of that as well. Jerusalem Dancing Heavy Serpent. Now, the North American album cover had this with the band name and the lettering in a red logo, and the European version had the lettering in white, sort of like this, with the white lettering. Similar album cover. So that was the only main difference. So yeah. So let's get right to it now. And also, this is a retroactive version. It had a bonus track, Covered in Blood, and also top of that, album 2 is 11 track. So I'm gonna run down briefly for a couple minutes the main difference between the two mixes, and which tracks in particular had the most difference, or the more prevalent difference, the European mix and American mix, or North American mix. And just let you know too, so the just give a bit of back history of the band up to this point in their career. So they started out in 1975. They released their first album in 1970 called Volume 1, and Volume 2 was 80, and in 81 was Warrior or Krigsman, and 83 was Can't Stop Us Now, or 84. And then they released a live album in 85 called In His Majesty's Service, live in the USA. And 88 they released this one. So basically they had a 4-year recording absent between Can't Stop Us Now and this one, but a 4-year gap. As you may know, Def Leppard had a similar gap too when he released Pyromania and Hysteria in 83 and 87. And Scorpions had a 4-year gap between Love at First Sting, I believe, and the one came out in 88, which name escapes me. So Jerusalem was no different. Also too, usually what happens in the band is that when Jerusalem release usually for the most part, Jerusalem will release an album in Swedish first, and then next year we'll release the English version. So I think, not mistaken, I did it on the previous video when I ran down through the discography. I think Volume 1 was released in 78 for both versions, if not mistaken. 80 was Volume 2 in both versions. And I think Krigsman, or Warrior, that the Swedish version released in 81, and the English version released in 82, called Warrior. And Can't Stop Us Now, the Swedish version released in 83, and the English version released in 84 for Can't Stop Us Now. And this one, Dancing Heavy Serpent, the Swedish version released in 87 and English version released in 88. So I had this on cassette years ago, so I'm used to hearing the North American mix, and I didn't hear the European mix until after I got this retroactive version in 2018. So let me run down the quick differences between each one for the next couple minutes there. 1 second, guys, my thing's slipping there. There we go. Okay, should be good now. Let's get right to it. So track 1, which is Dancing Heavy Serpent. There's a little bit of a difference, not much. And usually too with these tracks, the European mix will have the drums and the guitars and the keyboards re-record to a lesser or greater extent, and the differences may be lesser to greater extent between the tracks. So a little bit of difference between Dancing Heavy Serpent between both versions. Number 2, Plunder Hell, Populi Heaven. The guitars and drums were re-recorded or done different. Number 3, Rebel Jesus Christ. The North American version had the vocal intro. He's going to set you free. He's going to change your life tonight. Well, that little vocal intro is absent from the European version. And also the keyboard, drums, and guitars are re-recorded and much more thicker on the European version than the North American version. Number 4, Listen to Me, is more of a power ballad. That's got very little difference. Number 5, Whoa Whoa the Great Fall. Guitar, drums, and keys were re-recorded. So you see the difference between the 3 of them. Track 6, We're Gonna Take Europe. Keys and drums and guitars all re-recorded different. Track 7, Come Higher, was a great tune, more of a Deep Purple-y song. Come Higher, great tune. Guitars, drums, and keys were all different and re-recorded. Track 8, Catch a Devil, Catch a Thief. Guitars and drums were noticeably different, re-recorded. Track 9, The Night When Revelation Came Into My Life. Not much difference in track 9. Some difference, but not much. Track 10, Still, more of a ballad, no, but the second ballad. There's a difference in keys. The keys were re-recorded differently, the keyboards. And track 11, Covered by Blood, drums and guitars were re-recorded or mixed different. Now, when I say re-recorded, that could be a different mix or totally re-recorded. Could be one or the other. But you definitely see that there's parts of the album were definitely re-recorded on this here. So yeah, so basically, in hindsight or looking into it, track 2, Thunderhill Public Heaven. Track 3, Rebel Jesus Christ. Track 5, Whoa the Great Fall. Track 6, We're Gonna Take Europe. Track 7, Come Higher. And track 8, which is Catch a Devil, Catch a Thief. And track are the ones with the most difference, the biggest difference, and the rest ranges from a little bit of difference to a moderate difference in the rest of the tracks. That's track 1, Dance to Heaven Serpent. Track 4, Listen to Me. Track 9, 10, 11, which is Night When Revelation Came in My Life, Still, and Covered by Blood. They have a little to a moderate difference in the songs for this album. There you have it, folks. That's my rundown, what's spinning, of the 2 different mixes of Jerusalem Dance to Heaven Serpent. And this retroactive version has both versions on it, on the 2 different discs. I recommend, if you have not picked this album up, to pick this up on eBay, Amazon, Retroactive, Discogs, wherever you can find a copy of this around the city, or sorry, around the internet, around the internet. Anyway, folks, that's all I have right now. All the best. Have a great day. Hope you enjoy this. On the next episode, on the rundown, there's some recent arrivals that came in the mail over the past 2 or 3 weeks. All right, folks, have a great day. All the best. Bye now.